On behalf of Liz and Pierre and Francine, I want to welcome you here for this day in which we'll recall Donna through the words of some of you and some who are unable to be with us today. Some of you know that Donna was buried according to Jewish tradition on Monday, and that was in keeping with her wishes, and there we celebrated our tradition in a proper and fitting religious manner. This afternoon, we are going to celebrate her life as she would have liked and as she would have asked, without prayers. All of you are welcome to express your own faith through prayers. At some point in the service, we'll have a moment of silence. And if you'd like to, in your own tradition, offer prayers for Donna, you're certainly welcome to do so. But we won't do that at this moment. I'm very aware that Liz is the only member of the family, although that is a pretty expansive word when it came to Donna and Joseph, who's with us. And so I do want to indicate, though that they're not with us, that Donna was the loving mother of Michelle Reynolds and Nicole Texator and Camille Octave, and was the grandmother of Samuel Isaac. And there are brothers who are not with us today, Norman and Douglas and Janet. And they should be acknowledged as being mourners in the same way that all of us who are here today are mourners. I want to begin with my own personal reflections about Donna. In the first book of the Hebrew Scriptures, the first line in Hebrew reads as follows: Bereshit bara Elohim et hashamayim ve'et haaretz. I know you all can translate that, but I'll give it my own twist. Most of us in the King James Bible or other translations read that in English as "in the beginning." But that's not really what the Hebrew says. The Hebrew says, at the start of this creation of heaven and earth. The difference is significant, not just for theological purposes, but it suggests, if you read it as "in the beginning," that there was only one moment of creation. That's the way it's usually understood. If you read it in the second way, according to the Hebrew grammar, it means that this was one of many moments of creation. This happened to be the creation at this point. There potentially were other creations. Now, I don't share that with you simply to indicate my erudition, but I think the translation is a reflection of Donna's life. She was a person who had many beginnings. To begin Donna's life with the words "in the beginning," I wouldn't know where to start. Where does her life begin? I don't mean in the physiological sense. I mean in the sense of which part of her life would you like to begin with? Would you like to begin with the time she was born in the United States, or the time she went to school in Canada, the time she first met Joseph, she next met Joseph? All of you who have some sense of Donna know that this was a journey of life that had numerous starting places. And so I want to share with you, before I read others' words, where it started for Joseph and Donna and I, because I think it's reflective of who she was, who they were, and their life journey. Donna and Joseph walked into my office at Temple one day. This is probably about 6 or 8 years ago, I would think, and told me their story. At that point, I had been a rabbi for about 27 years. I don't think I had heard that one before. I didn't know how much of it had been embellished over the course of time, but even if I took away some of the embellishment, it was a wonderful story of love. So I asked them what they were doing in my office, and Joseph said, those of you who knew Joseph said in his own way that he wanted to become Jewish. And he wanted to become Jewish in honor of his tante. Tante is the Yiddish word for aunt. And in Brooklyn, Joseph had really been raised by a Holocaust survivor named Tante. Now that he and Donna were moving on in life and they had reconnected with Liz, he wanted to reconnect with his past. And I said to Donna, what did she want to do? And she said, I need to recover all that I've lost. What a great word for a genealogist or librarian. I need to recover all that I lost. And so the two of them entered into a year-long study. Donna didn't officially need to convert, but she wanted to go through the process of affirming this ancient tradition that somehow over those 60 years or so she had lost. She came to class with Joseph every week, sometimes without Joseph. As those of you who know Joseph, that wouldn't have been unusual. And Joseph and I had an agreement. Every time he came to class, he would bring me a CD of music. And he had to introduce me to a musician that I had never heard of. And I still have that wonderful collection, a year's worth of CDs of jazz and other kinds of music that I actually had not known of. And when the mood strikes, it's the perfect music on a day like today to just put on Joseph's choices. And so for a year, we studied together, talking about what it meant to be Jewish. No matter what book I gave them to read, Donna came back the next week with 6 other books that were cognates of this writer or alternatives to this, and invited me to be a little bit wiser about my book choices. Sounds like somebody you know, I think. When I, as I do with most of the prospective converts, ask them to talk about their family history, Joseph returned the next week with, I don't know, about a half a page, saying this is what he knew. Donna returned with a PhD thesis. And invited me to peruse her roots. I politely gave it back and just asked if she knew who her mother and father were. I'd be happy about that.